I'm Tara Lilly, your host and hypnotherapist. Welcome to Santa Barbara Hypnotized, co-creating mind, body, and spirit in paradise. So I am so excited for this show because I have a live studio audience, my first one. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the support, and I'm really excited for tonight's show. And it is a group past life regression. And so it's going to be exciting. And afterwards, we can have some more questions and all that good stuff. So thank you for being here. And this is an opportunity for you here in the audience, and also for you watching this at home as well, to get a peek into your story of your past life. Now, whether that's fact or fiction, right? So let's see a show of hands. Have you ever wondered what you possibly could have been in a past life? I thought so. That's why we're here, right? So, does anybody have some kind of like soul connection to an ancient civilization or even a culture that you can't explain? Oh, nice. Good, good. And how about any clues or ideas of an experience that you may have experienced in a past life? Yeah, right? Nice. So I have been doing regressions for many years. Even as a kid, I was trying to get back to a memory of mine of a past life. So it has always fascinated me. And actually one of the reasons why I became a hypnotherapist. And when I started to see changes in people, such as releasing fears and phobias and recognizing these dramas that were being played out over and over, just really exploring these untold stories of the past, I knew I wanted to learn more. So I have a deep passion for past life regression. And in past life regression, again, fact or fantasy, right? Who knows? Who knows what it is, right? But Dr. Margaret Wambach was a research psychologist from the 1970s and one of my favorites. And she regressed over 2,000 people using scientific methods and historical documentations that verified the validity of her findings. And she was able to document. And so tonight, you will write down your information that you find from your story. And we can make sense of it and see how it twines in with your life now. And you can decide for yourself, fact or fantasy. So I will, in a group here, I will have to ask generalized questions, whereas in private sessions, I would ask questions based on your response to the previous question. But here it will be really general, so just kind of keep that in mind as we go through this. I also want to mention that leading is a problem that can affect therapy. And I will ask my questions, so not lead your story, but more to inspire your story to come through. And I want to pre-tell you a few things before we get started. First, you are shown what you need, not necessarily what you want to see. So keep that in mind, okay? Now, a quick story is that I was doing a group past life regression session, and there was a man, he was not American, and he regressed to a different race in a poor situation. And it was a race that he felt was lesser. And they're very honest in his culture. Well, he didn't like this, and he thought it was just his imagination, and it was making him kind of upset. And so he decided that since he was making it all up, he was going to make up that he was his own race and rich and powerful. But each time I would ask a question, in his mind it would be answered back with that same man of that same race. Now, he didn't like it very much, and when he came to, he was actually upset about it. And he said, "How could I be this character?" And he unhappily questioned. And that is just an example of how he obviously still had some more things to learn, some more lessons. It's a great example that really shows that you need to be shown what you need to see, not always what you want to see. And so Obviously, but, excuse me. So in your past life regression sessions, I want you to really look for that underlining message that kind of still goes through your life now, kind of see what we can relate to. And I want to put something into perspective. Now, I know you want to find out that possibly you were Cleopatra or Muhammad Gandhi, but the reality of the world population is that the majority of people living in history were poor nobodies, right? It's just statistics. And so with that being said, if you find yourself on a throne, don't dismiss that, okay? Get all the information that you can. And I actually have had two kings. The first king was King of Elkhorn, I think, around the 1600s, and also my father. And this what came through my sister's past life regression after my father had passed away. It came through that he actually was the king that he had proclaimed to be, and he was king in a country with like a red and white flag sometime in the 1500s. So, as I said before, past life regression can be therapeutic, and anyone dealing with fears and phobias, you don't have to raise your hand, but just think that in your mind if you have one. Sorry. Now, obviously, I don't know what your fears and phobias are, but only you do. And if you choose to kind of work on that tonight, then I want you to please rank that fear and phobia, okay? Just rank it from a 0 to 10, and then we can have a starting point. And then afterwards, after your past life regression, we can rank, you can rank that again. And this is a great tool to measure the efficacy of past life regression. And so if your root cause is shown in coming from the past, then it can be mended. It's actually the first step to mending. Now, I had a really neat past life regression where she had a fear of heights. And she was shown a tragic car accident where her best friend was in the car in front of her driving on the PCH up north by Santa Cruz. And she got out of the car after this accident and she just stared down this long cliff at her friends. It was a fatal car accident, and it really, really hurt her heart. And they had been coming back from a failed protest from the Vietnam War. It was up in Oregon, I think it was Portland, if I remember correctly. And that drive back to Santa Cruz was disappointing, and then this car accident had happened. And it was so devastating to her that that night in her past life, she overdosed and died at age 19. So afterwards, after the session, she said to me that she didn't feel afraid of heights anymore. So we were going to test it and go do that, but we never did. But I guess just things just get released in regressions. So please do the scale if you'd like. And you can share that afterwards if you feel like that. So there's a lot of emotions being released, and it's a strange phenomenon, but you may experience the same emotions as if you were reliving the situation, but more in a detached way. And a tear, not always related to sadness, is actually common in most regressions, along with happy and joyous moments too. And so I want to share with you a reason why people don't want to know past life regressions. And that is that they're scared to find out that they were a really bad person in a past life. I had a family member tell me that they didn't want to find out that they were a serial killer. And now, just knowing her, I highly doubt that she carried any drama of that. So I want to share something with you. In a past life, I actually committed a murder. And I was a midwife in the Wild West, and I took the life of a mother of 5. And I did regressions a few times because it was so, crazy and kind of heavy. And I definitely wanted to dive even more deeper into it. But I just really felt like she was a really bad person. She was really hurting her children. And I can still see clearly what she looked like. she was mostly hurting her oldest son, and it just really hurt me. So I feel like out of compassion, I took this woman's life, I guess. So kind of weird, but I did get shot in the chest by the sheriff. So anyway, and which brings me to the point that death is a process that we will go over, but you'll go over into a very detached way. It's not the same as experiencing it. And it's actually a really valuable tool. So I want to tell you what happened to with my past life regression with my daughter. At the time, she was only 10, and she was giving me a story about this young 16-year-old Australian girl, and with a best friend that was more like a sister, and they had this really amazing friendship. Well, she also had a boyfriend with dark skin who was, I think after learning how common this was, he was Aborigine. And I learned it was really common, this racial tension, to sometimes get out of hand between the Aboriginal boys and the Australian girls. And so anyway, my daughter at age 16 was shot by her boyfriend. But it wasn't the bullet that, they were actually down by the water, and she drowned before the shot had killed her. And she was watching this traumatic drowning, experiencing it, and she started telling me this, and I calmly freaked out. I honestly didn't really know what to do. I couldn't take my little girl through this process. She was obviously getting emotionally upset, and so I tried to bring her out, but she wanted to continue. And I asked her to view it from a different perspective, as if watching a movie. And she was able to detach and narrate the incident. And it was truly incredible. And I can attest to seeing the death process as completely detached, like a movie. You can still get those feelings. I haven't had anyone besides my daughter, which ended up being fine, get too wrapped up in the death and dying process. I do have a theory on that, but that's a whole different show. Okay, so another thing I've noticed is that we are attracted to the same things or repelled to the same things, and of course people too, throughout lifetimes. So I was shown wearing blue in a few of my lives. One was a frilly powder blue suit in the 1500s as a Austria man. It was a very beautiful blue. And then also kind of this beautiful Mae West style blue dress in the Wild West with this lovely blue hat. And so I've been able to tie in a lot of things through my life now as well as in that. I love blue. I don't know, but we can see also how things parallel into your life, and if you find certain things, how fun, that's kind of fun too. So, man or a woman. I've had men be surprised when they say I'm a woman, and sometimes they don't like it, but I just want to pre-tell you that people see both, okay? Rich, poor, different religions, different nationalities, careers. We have to experience all of these lessons. If we don't, we come back and repeat it, and it's by choice. It's your choice. So you can see, with that being said, that how you are actually the one who is in control. You've made this choice to have what you have right now. So people, most people live very boring lives, okay? And it's very common. It's actually very common. And some live wonderful lives, rich with family and friends, and so you'll have also those boths too. But family is always the most important thing. When people look back on their life and reflect, they said, you know, my life purpose was to be there for family, which is interesting that we're kind of moving away from that family dynamic in this culture. But another thing I want to tell you is that you will, especially on the first one, you will definitely think that you're making it up. It's a thing that happens all the time. So you may experience it with feelings. You might vision it like you're watching a movie. You might hear it as if you're watching an audiobook. Just don't try to analyze or judge what you're experiencing. Just try to take a deep breath and relax into calm, and just let your critical mind just fade away. Don't think, just do and just let go. And if you think you're making it up, okay, it's your story. Just follow it through to the end, okay? And you'll be surprised reflecting afterwards. And this will minimize the more experiences that you actually have. And it's just your subconscious and your brain trying to figure out how to process all this different information, just analyzing how to analyze it, how to store it for future use. So it's very common to think that you're making that up. And with that being said, I want to let you know that everybody is hypnotizable, okay? Some just more than others. And you may feel good and relaxed, perhaps on the verge of sleep, or you may be saying to yourself, this isn't working, this isn't working, okay? I'm not feeling it. But the more you think that you're not being hypnotized, the more you actually are going deeper. And you could fall from one extreme to the other. And maybe even one of you will start snoring. But yes, it's kind of funny to, but just being so relaxed and then all of a sudden you hear somebody snoring. And it has happened to me in a group before. So I'll do my best to try to wake you up if that happens. But most of you honestly will fall kind of in this range here, right in between. And hopefully you don't fall asleep, okay? And things that can affect hypnosis is contact lenses. They can be kind of drying, they can irritate your eyes, and keep your attention to your contacts. So if you do wear contacts, just kind of keep that in mind. Also, any drugs or alcohol, including medication, that can also affect your level of hypnosis. And we want you to be alert enough to be able to remember your story when you come out of relaxation. Write it all down, and then quickly go back calmly and deeply to do it a few more times. And yep, we will be going back to a few different time periods in history, okay? And that will be our starting point. And why do time segments? Well, it helps me direct time, era, appropriate questions for this group, okay? For instance, we know that doorknobs weren't around pre, 1000 AD, okay? So I won't use that word. Also, speaking of time, we got to get going, right? Where's the time going, actually? We're going to look at time in a whole new way. So with that, there's been lots of good information. Let's take a really short break. We'll get comfortable here on the floor, and you at home, get your space ready. This is definitely an interactive hypnotic session. So get comfortable, and when we come back, get ready to be hypnotized. Thank you. Yay!